Is that the more products we get, the long-term pulsing, the more dexes, the more yield opportunities and stuff. Again, you got the, hey, you're connecting to a DApp. Hopefully it's audited. Hopefully you put your money there. It doesn't go away. You know, you got to be careful with stuff like that. But is that like a trend now? It's like basically farm hopping, like, oh, this new thing launched. Let me get in early, at least first couple weeks or first days or hours or so. There's 1,000,000% APR, you know, and then it kind of goes down from there. Maybe the token price stays up. Maybe it goes down as well with it over time. You know, we've seen with 9-inch launch, you know, there was like crazy APR. It's went down, prices, tokens went down. However, you know, maybe they'll go up in the future. That one seemed to have a more broader plan and scale than some of the other ones that I've seen and heard of. But farm hopping, you know, is that something that you're interested in? Is that a place to like take advantage of different opportunities too, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think farm hopping and quick flipping and yield farming can be a great way to earn a quick 10 to 100%, depending on how fast you are, and when you get in and when you get out. So the idea with that is, and 9-inch is the perfect example of this for our most recent history, where we have APRs of, you know, tens of thousands of percents for like a day or two, right? And so let's say if you have a 20,000% APR, I'll pull up my calculator, and you divide that by 365, you're earning 54% a day, right? So if you're earning 54% a day, divide that by 24 hours, you're earning 2% an hour. So if you multiply that by 5, in 11 hours, if you get in right immediately, you immediately earn 10% on your position. So if you get into the farm when it's really, really high, let's say you put in $10,000, well, you can earn 11% on that in 5 hours. So you leave it in for 5 hours, you get your $1,000, you pull everything out. And that's a way that you can make a quick flip, basically on these yield farms by dumping the incentive token and throwing in your money really, really early. And so, but you have to be careful because this is kind of like a carousel. You know, this is a PvP game. Like you're competing with each other, and your risk that you're taking on is that typically these high APRs are given to you because you're providing exit liquidity for other people. So with the 9-inch farms, you saw the initial farms that had a lot of liquidity were 9-inch and stable coins. And what that did is provided exit liquidity for 9-inch sacrificers. So if they sacrificed and they wanted to exit their position, well, they incentivized the community through high APRs of earning the BBC token to be able to provide the stables for people with 9-inch to be able to exit. Right, like that's and that's why you're earning these high APRs, because you're providing a service, you're providing exit liquidity to people who have the tokens, and that's why you're compensated so heavily. And so it's a game of really quick in and out, where like you don't want the token to dump so fast that your APRs are out earning it. And usually during the very initial hours to days of a new protocol launch with these APRs, things can stay stable enough where you can get a cool 10 to 20% pretty easily, pull everything out, and de-risk completely. Now,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that. So that's this farm, you know, the ideal of farm hopping. Is there a, you know, I guess different levels of risk? You know, one is get in for a day or two, get out, that sort of thing. And then is there a case to stay in it long term, even if the prices go down? You're not earning 50,000%, you're earning 500% or whatever. But you believe in it long term, so you just, I don't care if the price goes down 50, 80% or whatever, I'm going to keep it in, I'm going to keep earning more because you believe it's going to go back up over time. Are there healthier games? Are there easier ways to win rather than trying to time it?
Yeah, no, that is a strategy that you can employ, especially if you have a multi-year time frame, multi-market cycle time frame, or even if you just want to play this current market cycle from where we are now to the top. That just requires a more fundamental and longer-term conviction versus immediate yield farming for a quick flip to be able to get like a 10-20% return in a day or so. And I think that's perfectly valid. So we'll keep using the 9-inch example here because that's what we were talking about. So you have a long-term belief in 9-inch and the BBC token and the 9-inch token overall as a DEX. Well, maybe you do provide one of these in these liquidity pools, say a 9-inch BBC or the 9-inch to E9-inch pool, or maybe you provide 9-inch PLS because you want to be able to have exposure to Pulse at the same time. You just throw it in the liquidity pool and just forget about it, basically. Now, I would still recommend some level of profit taking during the initial days to weeks where the APRs are really, really high, and as they start to taper off, just to lock in the profits, and then you can buy back and lower to get an even bigger position. And if that doesn't happen, at least you've de-risked a little bit and have some cash on the side. So I would never, especially during those highly volatile, highly Ponzi-nomic yields where they're just like, 5-digit yields. I would still recommend a level of risk management where you're taking profits during that time. But those profits can just be rolled back into when the hype dies down in a month to 2 months from there, and you have that long-term conviction. Then you can get a really, really big position in that ecosystem, actually. And if that protocol like 9inch does well over the long period, over a long period of time, say one cycle's worth, then you can make out really, really well, and you'll make out better than the person who just came in, like Hex Edit says, the liquidity locusts who are there for a quick flip. So that all depends on your personal conviction, how much you like the token, the founder, the tokenomics, the protocol, all of that, on how you play it. But just because there are high APRs doesn't mean you can't have a long-term vision and a long-term position on these protocols. It just requires a little bit of different positioning and just a little bit of timing in terms of profit taking during the crazy times, and then buying back a really deep, big bag when all of the liquidity locusts leave and dump all of their stuff.
I don't even think about, I've heard liquidity locusts before, but it's kind of, I try to avoid like the emotionally charged terms. I try to look at it as incentive structure. So to me, if people are going to go where they're incentivized. So whether there's like millions of dollars put in some new DEX on day 1 and it all leaves on day 14, that's just, to me, that's just the market. That's just the incentives were there. They're not there anymore. Have better incentives if you want to keep people. Like that's kind of a, like a product deal at the end of the day. So I don't even, liquidity locus, it's, I've heard people use it before, but to me, it's not, it's like getting mad at people for selling Hex or selling the coins or selling whatever. It's like their incentives are to take profit at some point. So why wouldn't they do that? Like if you want different outcomes, change incentives, right?
Yeah. If you have farms that are offering up 5-digit APRs, like you are signaling to the you're signaling to the people who are liquidity locusts or who are only there for the quick flip to say, hey, come over here and provide liquidity over here. And I think those incentives are aligned because they're trying to bootstrap liquidity. They're trying to get liquidity into the DEX as quickly as possible. So there is kind of a synergistic exchange there. Where people are, the DEX, say in 9inch, when they had like 25, 50,000% APRs, they're signaling to everybody on PulseChain, come put your liquidity here to make a crap ton of money really, really quickly. And the people who have no interest in the protocol are going to come because they could potentially make a lot of money really, really quickly. And it's aligned incentives in that, they're getting a quick flip, and the DEX is getting a quick boost in liquidity, a quick boost in TVL upon launch. So it's still a I think fair exchange. And then as soon as it drops, because the people are only there for the greatest amount of yield, because it dropped, that's what it is. Then they leave.
Trying to find a tweet here. I called it. I set up had alerts that I'm going to be using for new products launching and stuff too. That is talking about like. I did a tweet on. Okay, yeah. Let me just pull it up real quick. So, signed up. I did a whole thread of like how to catch, how to use old school tech of like basically just page changes to catch when things launch. And the detection, I got an email, and the detection actually caught it when it was at 2 million, almost 2 million % APR for 9inch DAI. So
when it immediately launched, yeah, it
was like right when it launched, because this thing would every 5 seconds it would check for a page change, and I set it to like check for the page change here because I want to know when it launched. And then I got this email. It's like, oh, the page changed, and then that was like the instant it launched or around it. Yeah, almost 2 million % to attract people to come in, provide liquidity.
Nice.
So thought that was fun to look at. Again, that's what we're talking about these things. It's not to promote or tell you, to go do these things or otherwise. It's like, hey, here's our experience with them. Here's like the risks that we've seen and kind of walk through it. If that's not for you, you totally don't have to participate. We have plenty of less risky products. You can stake. I'll pull this up real quick before we move on. staking, you know, I did a 1,000 T-share challenge. Anyone wants to take it? It is open to anyone who wants to try to put it together, but I'm taking it myself. I'm trying to get there. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there in November, but I think it's definitely an aspirational thing. But let's see, which one? Give me to pick one, Sloth. Doesn't have to be true or not. I just don't want to taint it myself. Which option?
Not interested.
Oh God, I knew it. So we got 156 votes, 42% of people. So around 80, 70, 60, 70, 80 people are like, they're down for it. They're down there. They're trying to get, you know, whether it's practical or not, they're going to try to get their portfolio trending that way. And 26%, though, interesting, already there. If this poll is correct, was it 30, 40 people or so? Already there, already have that many. There's a lot of people. Again, I don't know if they just follow me on Twitter or not. They see the poll or they're just lying. One of those. I've did these polls before about how many T-shirts you have. I've seen a consistent number of at least up to 50 people who participate in them saying they already have over 1,000 T-shirts. There are people in the system who have these things. It's not a you know, unless those same people that keeps clicking the wrong button, you know, there could be a lot of people in Hex that have T-shirt exposure.